Welcome back to Tabletop, Jason. Today, we're going to take a look at a game I recently unboxed called Can't Catch Harry, an Odd Ones Out card game. It's a pretty simple game for 2 to 6 players, ages 6 and up. The average game time is 10 to 20 minutes. First, we'll go over the setup, then we'll go over the rules, and then I'll give a couple of quick thoughts. So, the instructions, as you can see, there's not a lot to it. There is one item of confusion in here that I'll briefly mention when we get to that point. But setting up the game is super simple. You lay out the mat, which feels like an old school mouse pad. And for each player, it's kind of curly, isn't it? For each player, you draw one of the figurines. You have to you have to choose the light, and you have to choose Harry, and you can pick one other for each player above 2. So we're going to do a 3-player sample. So I'll just pick this ugly thing. Now each player has, or each item has something on the bottom of it. I guess this one has 0, but this one has 2 and 3. At the end of a round, you get points based on what you grab. So this guy's worth 2 points, this guy's worth 3, and this guy's actually worth -1. Surprised it doesn't say that on him. Oh well. So you grab your 3 figures, you place them where it says to place them. Or there, doesn't really matter, I guess. We'll put it there, because that'll be closer to a player. And then you put that aside, you deal 4 cards for each player. So we'll have a 3-player sample, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's move this a little bit to make sure we got it all on the beautiful camera. And there we go. You put the other side deck aside, and you draw those during play. We'll actually, let's see, go this way, so we'll call this one player 1. So, gameplay. You've got 1 goal to win. You score 11 points. So how do you get points? Well, there's 2 ways. Well, sort of. We'll pull out the handy instructions here. You score points by, I can't find it. I might have to go by memory. Here we go. Okay, so at the end of a round, you add up your points. You get 3 points if you have 4 of a kind, 3 points if you have Harry, 2 points for this guy, 1 point for that guy, and -1 point for the lantern. You have devil cards. I'm going over this now because it affects gameplay. So if it feels out of order, well, you'll see after we start some sample turns. If you end the turn with devil cards, you get -1 for each, unless you have 4 devil cards. Then everyone's scores reset to 0, but you still get the points for what you grabbed. So you could actually, end with 4 devil cards and a lantern and end up with -1 points, or you could end up with Harry and you'd have 3 points while everybody else has 0. You've got wild cards here. They're called everyone cards in this game, but they're used as a wild card. And then lamp cards, they're worth -4, even if you get 4 and grab a moth. So you never want to end with 4 of those. Why would you do that? Well, you'll see. Okay, now let's go sequence of play. The youngest player goes first every turn. You start with 4 cards. We'll just reveal all the hands to make things a little simpler. Holy cow. Wait a minute. Okay, we're going to rename this Jason Learns to Count. Okay, 4 cards there. Normally you won't be showing your hands, but like I said, we're just doing this for simplicity. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're just doing this for simplicity's sake. Okay, so what you want to do to play is player 1 draws a card and then passes to player 2. Player 2 then looks at his or her 5 cards and passes one to the last player. And then that player discards a card. And then you start it over. So here's why I was confused originally, even more confused than I sound now, is because in the instructions, they're not clear that you draw a card each turn. It just says, draw a card, follow the rules. So I actually had to try this a little bit and just look online and stuff. So that's a turn. So what happens is you do this sequence until one player has 4 of a kind. The instant they have 4 of a kind, they throw down their cards showing they have 4 of a kind and grab a piece. Not that piece. Grab a piece. So as soon as the other players see one player throw down their hand, everybody reaches for the piece they want. Now sometimes everybody's going to reach for Harry and get the 3 points, but they might not want the 3 full points, because to win you have to have exactly 11 points. Not 12, not 14, 11. And the final rule, making that a little more complicated, is you get 3 points for having 4 of a kind. So let's do a sample turn real quick to kind of elaborate on that. So player 1, the youngest player, draws Harry. Okay, well, he doesn't want this devil card, so he passes the devil card. Okay, now it's player 2's turn. Player 2 is thinking, well, I'm going to be risky and keep this devil card. I'm doing this just to make it simpler for the example. So I'm going to pass this mom card over. Player 3, at any point in the game, so now, these are hidden in the hand. Player 3 can say, ooh, I have 4 of a kind, can instantly throw them down, and you don't have to discard that one. You just throw them down, and then as soon as he throws them down, he reaches for Harry. The other players fight over this guy, and somebody wins. We'll say it's this, and then player 3 or player 2 has no choice but to take the lamp. So that's the end of a turn. So now you tally up your points. And player 3, since player 3 got Harry, has the 3 of a kind plus Harry, which puts player 3 at 6 or 6. Player 2 has -1 for the devil and -1 for the lamp. I don't know what player 2 was thinking. And -1 for this lamp, so player 3 actually has -3 points, which is kind of funny, I guess, but who knows. And now player 1, you tally up your points. Player 1 has 2 lamps. Who shuffled this? So player 2 has -2 for the lamps. This guy is worth 2 points, so player 2 is at 0. And now we tally up those points, put the little pieces back, and then you shuffle everything back together and you start another round. Whoops. This could also be called Jason Learns to Shuffle. No, actually, these cards are really stiff. Like, stiffer than any cards I've seen. They're like, yeah, I just gotta shuffle the kids away. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Okay, and problem I have with the rules right here is, you deal your 4 cards. I'll actually count to 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So, big problem I have with this game. The youngest player still goes first in the next round. So, the youngest player goes first in every round. And that's bad because we don't have one. If you have a wild card, you're never going to pass a wild card, really, right? So, player 1 will generally keep all of the wild cards. We're just looking over the hand. I'll do a couple of sample hands. Okay, no wild cards there or anything. There's only 4 of each card in the deck, so it makes it a little more challenging to get 4 of a kind. So we'll do player 1's hand. Player 1 draws. This time player 1's going to pass the devil. Player 2's hand, if I had any friends, I would play with them and they would help me out, but you know, old dude with a bunch of board games, right? This one, player 2 is this time going to try to come back from that negative score and pass the devil. Player 3 has nothing here, but also doesn't want to risk the devil, so player 3 now starts a new discard pile. Let's put the discard right there, and now we go to round 2. Player 1 draws again. Player 1's going to go for this, so we'll pass on the baby James. And again, the other players won't normally see each other's cards. I'm going to cheat a little bit, so pass on the fox. Player 5 says, ooh, I got a pair of foxes, I'll pass on this furry. You discard face down so that nobody sees what was discarded. Let's do another sample turn. Oh, now we got a wild card. Okay, so player 1 is like, oh, cool. I'm going to pass on this Harry card. So now I just need one more mom card to get 4 of a kind. Player 2 goes, what do we got? Nothing too good here. Gonna pass on the baby James. And player 3 has a Harry. Just gonna discard this baby James. We'll see what we draw. Maybe we can go through another complete round. Evil bird. Nothing there. Just pass the sandwiches. I think I will kind of cheat to try to get somebody to make a 4th. So yeah, we got 3 there. So we'll pass Harry along. Pass it to player 3. Player 3. Oh, look at that. Has a chance. Discard the James. Player 1's turn. Draws another everyone card, giving us 4 of a kind. Throws down. Now let's see. Normally you'd throw down and just grab right away. You want to try to get 11 points though, and I believe player 1 was still at 0, so player 1 is going to go right for Harry. So you know, the second player 1 throws down the cards, it's reach, and everybody reaches and fights. And these two will collide and fight over this, and end up over here. And this guy ends up with the lamp again. So we total up those points. I know this is only like 5 minutes ago, but I already have forgotten. I think he was never -3, so now gonna have -4. And we were at 6 here, I think. So now player 3 is at 8. And player 1 was at 0. Now player 1 is at 3 plus the 4 of a kind, so player 1 is at 6 also. And so that's what you want to keep doing. I won't play through a whole sample game. I think that's a good enough place to stop. But that's what you want to do. When you have a choice, you know, if you get your 4 of a kind, like, okay, here, player 3 was at 8, right? So player 3 is thinking, I need to get 3 next turn. How could player 3 get 3 next turn? That's the only way. But if player 3 got the 4 of a kind and Harry, player 3 would have more than 11 points, so it'd be negated. You can only get 11 points. If you draw something that would put you more than 11 points, you don't get any points. And that is another big flaw. So how to fix these flaws? Well, okay, I don't like to criticize games. I like to constructively criticize games. So I had the one problem where I said player 1 is generally the one getting the wild cards. And then my other big problem is this 11-point thing. It kind of works well in a 3 or 4 player game, but in a 2-player game, it's really hard to stop at 11 points, you know, and it's frustrating because you get 6 and 3 and then you have to pull out some -1s. It could take forever. Plus you have to make sure you don't get 4 of a kind sometimes. Other times you have to make sure you get the lamp, and if I don't know, it could be really frustrating. So my solution for both of these problems, if you want to look for house rules to make the game a little more enjoyable, I would say start with this younger player, and then the next round, rotate to the next player. I mean, you still have the problem that player 1 might generally be keeping the wild card or the everyone card, but at least it's not always the same player keeping that card. And then as for the 11-point thing, you know what I would do? Seriously, I would say either make it a race, not a race to 11 because that'd be too short, but maybe make it a race to 21, or make it something like a race to 11, but you have to be at least 3 points ahead of your opponent or something like that. Maybe just toy with the score a little bit to make it a little more less frustrating and less math intensive, but that's just my guess. But apart from that, the game, it's simple. It's ages, what are we looking at again? 6 and up. I played it with my 10-year-old a couple times, and we had that problem. A 2-player game is just not that good. But then we pulled in my 4-year-old, and even though he couldn't really grasp the concept too well, just having one more person drawing cards gave us a few more options as far as grabbing points. So as long as you've got 2 of these. Now another house rule could be have more bugs out, actually. I mean, I don't know, maybe that make it too simple, but it might not. Let's say you're playing, you have 10 points and you need to get 1, then everybody's going to fight over that 1. So I don't know. You can toy with the score to make it more enjoyable for you. But oh, sorry, I was the 6. My 4-year-old could kind of play. My 8-year-old and 6-year-old and 10-year-old had no trouble with the rules at all. So if you're looking for a game for your kids, it's a good one. If your kids are fans of James and the odd ones out, then definitely give this a try. There is an expansion that I probably won't pick up unless I find it dirt cheap somewhere. I don't know exactly what the expansion even does. I haven't looked into it at all. But we're not talking about the expansion, we're talking about the game. So that's the game. I'll be back soon with another video, either an unboxing or another how to play. So if you'd like to make sure you don't miss that video, please click that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.